see it. Location. Welcome, everybody. Communication line center is a very high center interference location directions. There's a lot of signal interference, so hopefully you can see the white pad line center and rotation. In this calculation of force lines, now the triangulation force is all levels of U and how you use core locations. It's all levels of highline centers, 24 sequence 48, 72 plateaus in position location 144. The triangulation line and rotation is really understanding how to communicate on levels, how you go through pre-flight checks, high channel, high interference at grounds, it's offline calculations. Let's put positions and directions back in operation circle. Open up the communication line centers, retrack high center locations, box frequency times calculation. Now, what is this all levels at? Well, it's position location online. It's how to use your box centers, your communication interference. It triangulates as high centers. Now, it's all about understanding how you use the level communication system. Let's say you go through the ground line centers and calculations. All right, so we get a box line center. Okay, box equals flux capacitor, right? But before that, it arrives. It arrives in equal line center, okay? So think of your line center locations on position location. Equal line into center position locations in a point dot line system, okay? That rotates its high center line conditions, the levels of its calculations to its position location, to all line center, to its modification line conditions, to its Merkaba, okay? Now the Merkaba sets position locations. I really want you guys how to understand triangulation. How to understand triangulation. How to understand triangulation. Now, in position locations, you got this, right? Sets line center, sonar and interference location, high system, okay? Puts position locations into all line to its TV box location, right? See, that set signals. Comes into reception, right? There's the reception there, right? Now, this is where you turn on a TV. Now, the TV line sets its location to its position. See, signals at the top. It activates the high string interference. Now, the planetary visual locations, you have to understand how it's set up for the ground interference. It has 12 DNA line centers. Everything through electrical light connection has its calculations. How to ground it is all through triangulation, all right? So let's say we go through a purple cycle, purple center, purple location, and high center interference and directional keys into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position location of direction. Now we set signals into a diamond core line center. It opens all communication system, all right? Now that sets a high center location. This travels on its own to its position location of its direction, okay? As it travels on its high line center, it goes to the equal line. Now the equal line center is the equation location of its interference. It position locations to its directions. Now you go back into high interference locations, all levels. So in calculation, you have to extend the sun line center in position location of fluctuation. See the fluctuation line conditions. You electrical charge that line center into electrical light interference. Now that's the position location of directions. All right, you set the ground line center. You need the grounds, you need the power line recognition of time. That opens all cycles. High interference location line conditions. Now this is where it comes into higher force line conditions. That's where you come into the magnetic field line. Now that magnetic field line changes all lines if its equation location to its TV box line center, opens all communication to its atmosphere line center location and position of time. Now the timeline sets its correlation. So it's really understanding how to get your grounds. And I really want you guys to how to use your travels of formulas. Okay, now the formula has its triangulation, and that's triangulation line system. Trifactor calculation. So you get a triangle equals, okay, travel equals, okay, equal line again, okay, force of box communication, high levels channels to high center, into higher line position location of direction. Okay, this is where it sequences its box location line system. Okay, now the box system changes all line. Now you go through the ground line center. Always start with the ground locations, right? Because it can change position of time. Indirect location of the center dot position location in the center line connection. That opens all communication into another line center. It channels its high line rotation. So you got one line center. This is the atmosphere line position, sets out signals in high rotation. But the calculation of this satellite line system, this can stretch all the way to high force line. Okay. Now, this is a true understanding because you're coming into higher levels of acceleration line stream. So let's say you get into box position locations. Now, high center locations, 3-point dot line centers. Okay, so you got 24 on the top line, you got 48 in the side line, 72 another side line, and all positions are 144 on the bottom line location. 24, 48, and 72. Now, it also has its own face clock. That face clock is all about readjusting line center location to its equal line. That communicates at levels of your telepathy communication system. That equalizes its position of direction. Okay? Understanding how to use this equation as all levels of U comes into its triangulation. See? See the triangulation box line center location at all levels? Now, as it comes in position locations, you go back to the ground line center. See? Back to the ground line center, set position locations. There's your teleportation unit. Okay? There's all levels of Merkaba. You have to learn how to use it through grounds, know how to use it through all level position location of power lines. But you have to understand the sequence patterns, guys. It's all levels of U through calculations. Once you understand the 24 sequence of 48 to 72 and 144, it now time switches its timeline center. You come into two parallels of communication system, allocates time streams, interference location, and changes line signals, opens all communication to circle line in a rotation, calculate all line center position location into a circle line, opens all communication to graph line center to fluctuation to its communication system, ground line centers in rotation to its calculation to all levels of its Merkaba, sets grounds interference location to all levels of tunnel interference, in position locations of its directions. All right. As it channels in, you change the coloration. Coloration is all levels of how you use your emotional track. Remember, you calculate, modify. You have to learn how to use your 12 signals, 12 DNA, 12 track line centers of a clocking location. You always start off with 24 and you work your way up in the high position location of triangulation. See, 3 line centers, 4 position, 5, 6, 7 high center. Where's the 7? Well, this is position location of 5. So it's all about understanding 5 through 2, 2 through 3, 4, 5. That's 10 line. Okay, that's 13, that's 14, that's 15. So I don't need 2 position locations of hands. I can use track interference and change the geometry set line center, changes the Merkaba location to its directions to levels of fluctuation to its position of time in its calculation. Okay, so as it comes in its calculation line stream, you come into formula locations, sun line centers, times, and position locations calculations. You go into trifactors, manufacturing communications system. Now, this is where you come into Mesokick and Metatron. Metatron is position location of a computer program. It sets its high line center to one universal line rotation in calculation your 12 DNA line sys locations. It's in a very high vibrational sequence. It's in a position location of directions. It opens all line signals in rotation. So in calculation, you come into the star line signals in high interference in position of direction. Okay. Now that channels in, lock the sequence high center. Now, in position location is all about understanding the Philosopher's Stone video that I put up on TikTok. Now, that correlates its panel. It opens all communications of a relic. It structures its line center location to its stone. It opens all communication to its Metatron, Mesokick, and high interference location of directions. Set signals in high line into triangulation, into triangulation, into triangulation, into triangulation, and into triangulation. Okay? Now, once you have the triangulation, you have to understand the point line centers in position locations. Now, you can have a 24 signal or 48, 72, 144. It's totally up to you. But the track line center has to understand its position location of location, which is your capacity that you're using. It's the frequency tone line system location and computer adaptation to the brain, guys. The brain interlines its position location and creates the shape line center. This sets up the grid line center and interference location of all levels of data. The process communication is its processor. The upgrades and the downloads and the uplinking high center line in rotation and calculations. There's next 8,000 I went by. All right, so in position location, you come into the center line. That's the center line in rotation. Okay. Now it sets up position locations. Now you got to understand how to use structure and formation to a coloration path. Now this is all levels of you through travel, but use your formulas and a high center interference of direction location. So when you come into calculations, you go into alongs into high levels of a correlation panel. Now correlation panel is its panel line center in position location of direction. Okay, it signals its high line rotation interference of security measures and basically protects you in all line and rotation calculations. You set up the grass green location to its position of time. Now you can go in a 45-degree angle, lock and sequence line connection to its program setting. Okay, this opens up all communication realm lines. Remember, it's a T reception line interference. Your plasma line center is in a three waving location to its position of time. Three waving locations. Or you can cross signal and you go in position locations into 6 line connections. This crosses signals into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. It's all about understanding how to correlate high center locations and how you calculate all levels of the sun and how it sets up geometry line center location, the brainwave pattern, sets up high division locations, and how you use your thought lines, communication, your emotional track location, right? So it's the philosophical of you, the psychology of you, and the psychosis of you. This channels your line center and position location of directions, but you have to understand the equal line center location to your Merkabahs or anything through calculation of ground line center or anything through the line center locations of 24, 48, 72, and 144 to its location. Right, so code channels, high center location of crew units. High centers is quads 1 and 2 position. Calculations on GFL line centers, cancel communication line system, rotation line center, ascending communication, ascending master communication, ascension gods, open all communication cycles, reset line centers into high interference, high channel line connections, travel location line centers, and levels of travels, put position location online to triangulation, force communication line streams into calculations, shapes anomalies and high interference, locking in frame, hit position locations, cross signal high center interference, locking in frame high center in calculations, locking in channel line rotation, calculation modification, online position location of directions, levels, and signal line interference. Now, in rotation line centers, you see one triangle location, you see another triangulation, all in different patterns and different location. So it's all about understanding the line center. Let's say we go from 24 to 48. We lock that in frame line center. We change the communication line system. This goes into 48. This comes into 72. Okay. And one position location is online to 144. Okay. High center line rotations. All right. 48, 72, 144. Now you can time jump, time shift one way, and then you go the other way. One way, and then you go the other way. It position location of its directions. It opens up skylines to data stream. This is where it comes into high line center location to a spider line, an optical line interference, and position location of directions. Calculation of lines into your data stream location. Now the data stream comes into code signals. Now you can round division location to its tactic view. Coloration triangles, high force line calculation, high system. This puts into all levels of high center. Now in communications, you basically you have to understand what you're doing through triangulation. Force lines is communication cycles. Reset line channels, all communications, all right? Set up ground line centers in all levels of your calculations. Baseball diamond coming in high center. In position location, it's all levels of communication. There's a fluctuation line stand. In position location, you go strip down right center line center to 72 location. High position location of graph lines. Now this is where it comes into high force lines of data stream through electrical lights, comes into panel line inner rotations, calculation all lines. It runs all communication system to all levels of position locations. It networks the system line center into rotation interference. It opens all communication line system to its fluctuation location. Now, know exactly what you're doing is extremely important through data stream. Okay, it's all calculated and modified, guys. It's extremely powerful when you understand what's going on, right? I'm just showing you how powerful it is when you actually see yourself traveling through your own data stream, okay? The astral travels of you is the astral connections and how you use a magnetic high force line center is all levels of you through equal line location of travels of its Merkaba, okay? But understanding shape line centers, all position location of its directions. How fast you're traveling is all levels of you from inside. So you recognize your line center in calculations where Sacred Flame was saying that you are your universe in all operation of center. Center of everything is the operation of everything through calculations. Now this brings you back into force communication of its reference line, center to star line connection. So it's position location, how you travel, understanding because clocking system location to its position of time. you have a phase clock location, right? So let's say we start with the 20, okay, and you start with the 13, you go with the 14, you go with the 15, okay? There's 15, right? So 13 equals line center locations is what? 1 p.m., okay? 14 is 2 p.m., okay? So that's recognized line center. That's equation location to your physical line center location, all right? Into all levels of your 2%. You guys are 2% now, 2%, right? So understanding your registration patterns, it's an information location as a panel. It opens all communication line centers and how you use your time zones, time zone interference, time zone line conditions, time line center to calculation of high interference location. Equal lines its line center to all of the clocking, okay? So in position location, 15 equals 3 p.m., all right? So 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. is a triangulation times pi, okay? Times pi. So it's the equivalent locations from 12 to 3. And whatever you do in between is its pi, okay? Now this calculates on trifactor. Trifactor is this in position location, splitting it in half. Factoring communication is all levels, okay, high center. Now it's in communication line center, rotation interference. Now truly understand how to use that is through all levels of view, okay? It's calculated and modified. How long it takes you from going from 12 to 3, okay, in time capacitor. Time position location is all levels of view through channel. You see the light signal, see the wave central line conditions, see the waves locations, see the tree formation lines, see the hand formation light on my hand line center. See, it's dark, right? But it has balance of light. But see that? See my hand there? See it moving? See the shape moving location? You see it? That's light. So understanding dark of light is light of dark, and dark of light is light of dark. Dark, light, dark, doesn't matter. What matters is balance communication to your clocking. Truly understand that your line center is 13 in position location at 1 p.m., 14 is 2 p.m., and 15 is 3 p.m., okay? So in calculations, when you're traveling to higher levels of capacity, high system, let's say you got 1,000 line condition capacity of the brain line center, that's 1,300 locations at 1 p.m. That's 1,300 miles per second, 1,400 miles per second on 2 p.m. line system. That's a calculation. It's 2%, which is all levels of U. That balances your Merkaba communication to your clocking system, okay? So in calculations, once you get high rise to higher line center, you have to learn how to use the calculation modifications to all levels. This comes into higher formation location of a triangle. So triangles have phase recognition of time. Let's go through realm line center interference. This is a triangulation, right? Now the triangulation starts at 144, okay, into 244, okay, into 2000. Now it doesn't have to be 44, it could just be 2000. All right, so 2000. So what is that? Because it's not at 244, what's happened? It's backtracked, right? So it backtracks its interference location of bracket center. That puts position locations to a negative cycle. In position locations, equal line center, interference location, a positive location. Okay? So it's interesting how you look at these things, because if it's not equal to 144 to 244 and it's 2000 line connection, what's just happened? The trifactor is offline connection. So you have to put it back in position location to its sequence pattern, open all communication into the positive and negative cycle in direct line system, because there's always reference location of force line communication of light and dark. Light and dark is balance of everything. Light in my hand and dark position locations of the moon. Light positions of father, dark positions of mother. But see, father also have dark line center. So does mother have light location. So it's to understand that you're traveling all levels of force direction of time. If it's not calculated and modified through 144, 244, and you bring back position location into 2000 line center, the balance communication will be offline. That's how it comes into trifactor, tri-equation location, guys. Everything modifies all levels of view. So if you're back triangling its high center interference, you know exactly the balance of communications all levels times pi. This calculates all levels of your size graph location. This routes its ground line center into its Merkaba communication system, knowing exactly how to travel through force recognition of time sequence. Okay? So It's very interesting when you understand what's going on more and more each day, guys. It's a lot to take in, isn't it? It's way beyond recognition of anything through calculation, but I really want you to understand how to use your time sequence locations, how everything is times pi, times calculation, trifactor, factoring communications. You come into the Cosmic Universe Alliance Center, channel location line conditions. As long as you understand how to go from 144 to 244, but I don't want to go to 2044. I want to go to 1000. Well, you have to understand the back force because you're going back, but you're setting position location going forward, knowing trifactor through factor communication is times pi. So times pi is all calculation, how fast you can travel through one clocking system from 12 to 3. How long did it take you get there from position locations? E equals mc, okay, massive communication of square. Square recognizes timelines, time shift, time locks, time interference, time division location of calculations, the GOD. The geometric operation of design is all calculated and modified inside of you through its equation to its formula. The formula is its division location to its high system. This box is position location to high line center, interference location of its directions. All levels of light line conditions of indication. Ooh-ah. You see how powerful that is when you understand the whole line? What trifactor is, tri divisions, tri calculations, tri equation location, interference of channel line center. So if you're moving forward, you're totally fine. See, this is the position locations when you come into all levels, because 1 plus 1 is never two line center. Okay, 1 plus 1 is all levels of nothing other than what it is through calculation, is everything through 4 position locations. So I can fly through timeline center. See that 3 vector line center? See that tree? See how it swivels? One here and one here. That's a triangulation. See it? See? That's a triangulation. This is a data stream to a tree line. Okay? So it's got vector core streams. See? These are vector core streams on the tree. Right? Now this sequence is pattern line center. See the intelligence? See the eyes? See the nose? See the circle line in rotation? Try to understand the design of a tree. Really understand the mission that what you're doing is all level position locations. So it's on this sideline center, which is on the East Coast line location, not on the West line. So the weather is coming from this line position location into backforth communication, but it's also in the North line center in position of this direction location. So now it's on the Northwest side line. You understand? So you have to understand direction line center location of tree formation to its calculation, to its ground line center, to all levels of light location, to its plasma line interference, to its structure of its triangulation. Right there. Okay, all through a tree. See, I don't need to draw. It's already there. I know exactly where the wind factors are coming from. I know exactly where the cosmic universe line is. I know exactly how to communicate to every tree line center and every branch. That is telepathy. So the communication line center, we use it is all levels of form through light. See the 3 vector lines? See Orion's belt? See it? See what you want to see? See how it glows? You can see it direction of timeline, right? You see the intelligence inside my hand? See it? So it's true understanding how you perceive your thoughts. And that's how you calculate all levels of you through travel. Through 24, 48, 72, or 144. Anything beyond that, you are mocking. You have to be very cautious. If you're not equal line center in position locations at 144, 244, and 344, you better know what you're doing through its line center locations because you're going back into the dark line position of yin and yang. You got a balanced line center, interference position locations, trifactor, tri-measure the communication line system. This opens all communication to its directions, okay? It helps you to understand how to use the formations to a square line. There's a square, see? There's a square line. Anything like that. These are vector communications. These are spikes. These are spike channels. Okay? See the square line? Truly understand what is going on, right? How everything is done through you, inside you. See? You got a triangulation here. See my neckline? See? Watch. Right here. Dark. Oh, look at that. It's balanced. See? See that? See? See, I'm changing it now. See, I'm changing the color. See? Traveling through it. See? See? Here and moving forward. Right? So moving back is moving forward. Forward is back. Back is forward. So you're never going back in time as long as you understand how to use your thoughts. Your thoughts are calculated and modified through the brain scan line, center, interference, location, and direction. It knows exactly what it's doing through time equation, time, position, location of highline center, interference, location to its directions. Okay, it's extremely powerful when you understand what you're doing through practical line connection. All right, it's extremely amazing. And you do the same thing. So we got the shape line centers. So think of your face as a clock. Let's think of that. Here's 24. Here's 13, 14, 15, all the way up to 24. Now that's just 24, right? So the signature pattern line center. See my hand? See what it's doing? See how it's traveling? See my finger point location? Knowing exactly where I'm doing the calculation. This is the triangulation. See? There's a triangulation right here, times pi. So from here to here, how long did it get me to travel from the top of my head to my chin? That's triangulation. See that? See that there? You have to identify everything through shape. Everything is you through a map. I'm just showing you how powerful it is when you see light and in dark in position location, a balance of yin and yang. This is the process of communications, guys. It's extremely powerful when you understand more levels of you through modification. This simulates all levels of you in track locations. Okay? So, how we all doing here? It's great to see you guys. It's extremely hot right now. All right, so I want you to truly understand how to use your formulas. And you can go through point dots. These are point dot location of a triangle line. So each one has a represent line center. But is it the same intelligence? No, it's different intelligence. Why? Because this is on grounds, this is on the sideline, and this is at top. These are at the sidelines of the bottom, and this is at top. So it's different in triangulation. If it's the same intelligence, it has to be in the same clocking. Multipass, right? So if this is at 24 location, let's lock it in sequence. Okay, it's in position location trifactor. There's 24, there's 24, and there's 24. Same intelligence. Ooh-ah. Now in calculation, if it's not a 24 line center, let's say it gets position location to 144. Okay, so 144 becomes this now. This is 144. Okay, there's off signal there. Okay, it's off signal, right? Because now it's 144, it's not 24 anymore. So the 24 and the 24 have to communicate with each other back in triangulation of force line communication to its telepathy interference. This changes its geometric location to its cosmic universal line. This changes its clocking system. So you either go back to the 24 or you go high rise, high center to 144. You can't go 144 to 244 to 344 until you understand the geometry location of you through operation inside system location. Okay? So once you get in that position locations, in changing 144, it triangulates its highline center, changing all levels of green line center, the heart recognition of timelines, opens all communication, high interference location, high system, points division location 24, points divisions back into 24, points division locations back in communication to its arrow. Arrow communication line centers. X marks the spot location. Ooh-ah. Done by equation. All right. So I'm just showing you how powerful it is. When you're changing coloration, it's changing your thought. It's like I said something, but I didn't mean to say that. Now what are you going to do? Because you've already traveled through it, and now you got to bring it back. If you don't bring it back, you've already manifested. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. You're using geometry line centers as shape, position, location, of direction, anything through calculations to 24 sequence into high line and interference there. Modification high interference. Now, location of directions. This is what you do. So let's go through a sequence pattern, Fibonacci sequence. There's a Fibonacci. Now Fibonacci goes in this line center interference, but it decided to go back in high center interference rotation. It's crossing stream. See, that's a no-no, because what happens is the galaxy line changes all levels of rotation line interference. Okay, so it's about understanding how did Fibonacci equals line center equal to its equation location to its high system equals equation. What understand is location. It changes its position to directions. When it changes position location, you change all lines center to dark matter and positional coloration of light. It streams its center position location of high system, opens all communication to its fluctuation to high channel, high center interference. Now the high interference comes into electrical light panel. Now it's amazing how it sets its signal locations to all levels of sonar, set signals, signals in both line communication. Now, equal line center, you can travel through the Fibonacci line interference. Now we're traveling through the Fibonacci sequence location in a back force line center and position location of rainbow accurate stream interference into its fluctuation line condition that stands on point. Knowing exactly that this, and this has to be the same clocking location. You understand? That's why it's so easy to understand ABCs and 3 of the grounds, the powers, and the atmospheres, guys. Your clocking system all has to be the same. That's it. You're fine. If your clocking system's off and you say, oh, I got a thought line center, but then I go in a negative cycle and then back into force line communication, now I don't understand anything I'm doing through equation. That's the problem you guys are having, is because you worry about so much out of thinking locations and stop getting position locations of knowing in all levels of knowledge. Using your thought lines and communication cycles, reframes, readjusts, refocus, recalculates, reanalyzes the analytical line center and interference location of line connections to position of directions, opens up the psychosis location to its philosophical location to its connection. Okay, so it's very powerful when you understand online into a Fibonacci sequence location. So it redirects signals into the same rotation, same calculation, back into formation location to its swivel of its activation center, which opens a tunnel line center interference location of direction. Ooh-ah. See? Done by equation. You see? Do you see how powerful it is? It's all levels on how you use your thoughts, how to use your travel of your thoughts, how to use your communication of your thoughts, how to use your graph stream location, your data streams of your thoughts. See the 8 central line center? Once you send that position location, it comes into infinity 8. Okay, you cross stream it and you come into calculations to a formation line system. This is what you're living every single day. It's a figure 8 motion. That's all it is. That's all life is a figure 8. You have to figure out what it is. This is your graph stream location. It's all position location of high center into all levels of your runway. Ooh-ah. See? Understanding all communications of you. So, check. Yeah. I know it's a lot going on right now, guys. I know it's hard for you guys to understand these things, but you're extremely powerful. You just have to understand your clockings of your ground, your powers and aptitude. You be fine through triangulation. You know exactly that you can change anything through weather. I can change the position location of that tree if I wanted to, because I know exactly how fast it's traveling through particle system. You have to go beyond the recognition of time through space. Space is high interference location of light. Look at my hand, it's glowing. See how, look at my light, look at my light. Look how powerful that light is. It recognizes every shade, every shadow, every communication, every travel, every trifactor, every division location, tri-line centers, tri-interference location, tri-metric high interference with line conditions. All levels in you inside is balance. All right, balance of everything through the grounds, the powers, and the atmospheres. It's very simple to understand these things, guys, and it's mostly understanding how is your clocking system, the grounds. Grounds is rotating. This is the grounds. This is you through power, and this is you through magnetic highway information system. That's what we live on. Now it's up to you to understand these things through clocking. If you're clocking line interference location, you're going in high interference to Fibonacci sequence locations, you're going backwards in position location. If you're going to triangulation line stream interference of 3, 6, and 9, your position location is going forward high system. If you're offline center location and release the high interference to the line in rotation to its calculation, you're setting up crop circles in a back force communication system to its location high system. See? So it's trying to send how to use your line centers, levels of you. It's your computer operation, which is all levels of how the operation works inside location, all levels of shapes. Okay? You got one shape location, lock in frame, right? Now you get another location, you lock in a frame. Okay? You got to lock these things in frame, right? In another location, you lock in a frame. Now, understanding the frame interference is true understanding. Now, anything in the center line center is going to start where? It all depends. It doesn't have to be 24. If you want to be 24, your acceleration line stream has to change the position location of the particle system of the grounds because it rotates to its high center. Your pyramid is your calculation. That is 50,000, 100,000 line connections of the ground interference location to your indicators. This indicates your position location, how you use your console, how to use your communications, how to use your line center, 1 position location, 2 vector line centers, 4 line communications, and 5 position location into high line center, to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 line system, all through calculation of 3, 6, and 9. So it's important you understand how to lock things in frame. So once you're in sequence pattern, you go into higher line connections, you bring it back in high center interference. Okay? Once you lock that in frame, you can go in a high center location and position location in center, right? Once you go in that position locations, you can come back out line center, go further out position location of direction. See? It's all levels of view. As long as you have your grounds, you know exactly what you're doing with your grounds of your thoughts and your powers inside and your atmospheres, will have no problem location to its position of timeline. It's all calculating how you use your thoughts, right? So it's how you create your image inside location through your thought lines. So let's say you create a position location offline direction. Let's say we go to that, right? So this is a triangulation. Now you created a shape line. Not a shape can mean anything. Let's say it's a triangulation, but this is what you created. That's a triangle. Doesn't look like much, but it's a high force line center in position location. Now we already know which is higher, this or this. This is higher because it's higher lines of vibration. So the correlation line center, this cannot communicate with the triangle, okay, until the triangle understands the shape. You understand? So understand the shape is to become the shape, all right? So you do the exact same drawing to this location, and you become the shape. Now you can communicate with. There's the triangulation right there. Ooh-ah. Done. In position locations, now this is going into 3000 line connection in direction. 3000 line connection in direction. And this force line center location, the center operation line center is 3000 equals line center 6. In position location equals 6. In levels of 12,000 line communication in 1 line center, a 3 triangulation. Okay. So that's how fast the triangulation to its force line communication is in its track system location. Wow. Right? 12,000. Pretty wild, eh? So now you understand how to travel through more levels of shapes. Taking your track interference, it's almost 40-minute location. 37 line centers, 38 high sys locations, 45 communications into 8 thumbs up and high interference. Direct line centers, force communications, bring it back calculation. Now you're back. And 2 line interference, 3 position locations, 4 in the high centers, 5 in position of directions, and 6 in activation to 7 of its core line center. Changes vector communication in 3 line positions, 4 line positions, 5 positions, or 6 in activation stream. This is all through triangulation line connection. All right. So it's important you understand these things, and I really want to stay on that. Tomorrow we're going to get in triangulation, how to use number sequence of patterns into Vega communication. All right. All right. So we got zoom and positional directions. I'll see you guys in high channel line centers. Adios.